Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, repping the Bengals for the AFC Northerners. First off, I want to apologize for not getting a video up for a while, but I've been very busy at work, and as I always say, sometimes life gets in the way. But let's get right into this. We have seen reports that the Bengals plan on playing the best five guys at offensive line. And we saw that on Wednesday night where they're jockeying around and moving in different combinations to see what's going to work best. And that's what preseason's for. It's for one-on-one matchups. It's for trying to see what combination of guys you're going to have. I've heard that we've given up 0% of our playbook in these preseason games. So nobody knows what our playbook looks like. But this is all about finding the combinations, finding the guys on one-to-one matchups, and you could see that. You had Price start the game at center. By the second quarter, we had Trey Hopkins playing center. We had Price in at guard. So you can see Turner and Taylor kind of working in the different combinations to see what's going to work. One of the things that did frighten me is I did see Redmond out there in the second quarter. Redmond, I want to see him as a third-string emergency player. I don't want to see him in the game. I don't even like seeing him as second string. Redmond couldn't block a caller on his cell phone. So I really have zero faith after last season in Redmond. So it kind of troubled me that he was out there. Some of the other things that troubled me with this game on Wednesday was the defense. We let the Giants run that 15-play drive with our ones out there. I don't want this to be a recurring theme where we can't get off the field. Play really good on first down, really good on second, and then give up the third down conversions. This defense has to get off the field. That troubled me. McCray troubled me. Seemed to definitely be a weak spot in our secondary, and they definitely seemed to pick on him. So that bothered me. Good things that I saw. Hey, Rodney Anderson. That guy was a stud. He looks fabulous. Finley continued to look really good. And Michael Jordan played with the ones and looked very good. So it looks like when you look at our draft class from this last year, you really, really have to be impressed with what we got in the draft. I'm going to go out and say it. I think we had a top 5 draft. I think for value, we might have had a top 3 draft or one of the best drafts. When you look at Michael Jordan, Sample, Pratt, Finley, like I already mentioned, Rodney Anderson, and Jonah Williams, even though he's hurt, he was still he was our pick in the first round. That doesn't change. We didn't know the guy was going to get hurt. And you add to him Damian Willis, we have a lot of infusion. This was a really, really good quality group that came in. We're loaded at receiver right now. We really are. I know AJ's hurt, and that's kind of opened the door for a lot of other guys to play. We've seen Auden Tate take a major step forward. We've seen Josh Malone take a step forward. We've seen undrafted free agent Damian Willis has looked very good. Looking at the group of receivers, I really think Cody Core is going to be the odd man out. I really hope we find a way to keep the other 3 guys. While I've heard from some people that they think Core is better on special teams than Josh Malone, I don't see Cody Core ever developing into a good wide receiver that would be a starter or a backup. I see him just as a serviceable emergency guy. I really think that Josh Malone can develop into it. So I'd really rather see us keep Josh Malone, not keep around a guy just because he contributes a little more on special teams. And I would like to see Core be the odd man out, but we're going to see how that plays out. With that said, there's a lot of trade rumors surrounding Trent Williams, and I would love to see us put together a package where we could get Trent Williams. And then think about it, we'd have the Williams brothers next year, right? We'd have Trent and Jonah. But let's not go down that road. Let's focus on this year, and let's take a look. I think we're going to have guys that we're not going to be able to keep, and I would really like for us to be able to package up a couple players and maybe a pick and throw it at Washington and see if we can get Trent Williams. Everything I've read said the Washington's going to deal with this within the next week. So you're going to find Trent Williams probably on another team. Why not us? I read a Mike Florio Pro Football Talk report where he said that his theory is that Washington had floated this report hit last week that New England had offered their number 1 for Trent Williams. Washington turned it down. Quickly, New England denied that rumor. And then Florio came out with a kind of a theory saying Washington is floating this. They're the ones leaking out this story to try to tell the entire league that, hey, we would take a number 1 if someone would step up. Well, guess what, guys? Our number 2, if you look at the rankings, our number 2 wouldn't be far off a New England number 1 next year. So we could offer a player and our number 2 and maybe get Trent Williams. That's just a dream. It's not based on anything. I don't think it will happen, but it sure would be nice, wouldn't it? Guy can dream, can he? So with that said, I do want to remind you to not listen to a lot of the noise you hear out there, especially from the mainstream media. ESPN. Do you know on Wednesday they covered the Bengal, or on Friday, they covered the Bengal Giant game from Thursday night. And it was all that we were in the highlights, but the highlights were all about the Giants. They didn't talk about us at all. When they've talked about us, it's kind of been dismissive. You have Peter King has us 30th. He didn't even stop at our training camp. How would he know where we are? He went from Indianapolis or Cleveland to Indianapolis, didn't even stop at the Cincinnati training camp on his tour. So we're one of these forgotten teams that everybody's kind of dismissing. I reminded everybody, and I'll do it again on this video, the Bears last year were 24th on the power rankings. So, and that was after the Khalil Mack trade. They were 24th. The year that Jeff Fisher was fired and Sean McVay was brought in, the Rams were 28th. So nobody knows what we have with Zach Taylor and this team. So pay no attention to the rankings. And don't watch the mainstream media. You have plenty of outlets to get real news from people who understand. I was watching ESPN, and Dan Orlovsky said, I don't really see any change in the Bengals because there hasn't been any change this year for them. Really? This has been an unprecedented amount of change in terms of coaches. I mean, Van Pelt's still there. Our special teams guys still. Most of the coaches are all new. We're getting new office space. There's new energy in the building, new philosophy, new playbook, completely new thinking. Mike Brown hopefully is pulling back. That statement could not be more untrue. And there it was on ESPN being shelled out there that we've had no change in Cincinnati. So don't listen to any of the so-called analysts. Go to more of your local guys, Paul Daner Jr. You can do YouTube shows. New Stripe City, Ace Boogie does a great show. D&H Sports, you can watch Haji and everybody do their show. You've got guys on Twitter. Chris Rawling wrote a great article the other day about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not the one Hobson used the same title the next day, but right after the game, Chris Rawling on Twitter put out, and it was for, I think, Bengals Wire and for USA Today. So check Twitter. You could check my Twitter feed. It's there. Also, Logi puts out a lot of stories with Stripe Pipe. So that's LOGIB 513 on Twitter, so you can check him out. But there's a lot of access for a lot more news of people who are actually in the know and care about this team and don't just not do their research. That's the thing that drives me nuts as I watch mainstream media, and they can have their opinion that we're not going to be good, but base it on fact. Don't just say, yeah, they were 6-10 last year, I think they're going to be 6-10 this year, because that's all you're going to get with ESPN, NFL Network, Pro Football Talk. They're just not going to cover us. So move on. Look for your information elsewhere. I know that DGBG has been doing Browns videos. Please check them out. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. And like I said, 2 other channels you can check out are D&H Sports and New Stripe City for more Bengal news. I'm going to try to get a preview up before our Seattle game in week 1. I am very optimistic about that game, and I'll talk about that next time. And obviously, I'm going to try to get up recaps throughout the season. And with that said, I will sign off as I always do with Fuck Mike Brown until we get back to the Super Bowl. And with that, I want everybody to have a great day, rest of your Saturday, and Hoo Day, everybody. Take care.